Hey, everybody. It is 8 a.m. Pacific time, and my name is David Delaney with Tenbound. I want to thank everybody for jumping into our virtual sales development conference. Just a quick note that we are recording the sessions today, so if you do not want to be recorded, go ahead and turn off your webcam. And we are muted, but we're welcoming chats over in the chat box. And we've got our intrepid Tenbound team on the chat ready to answer questions and point you in the right direction. As we're having people come in, I just want to welcome everyone to our first Tenbound Virtual Sales Development Conference. We are absolutely thrilled to be able to provide this. And we're hoping today to be in New York City for our first East Coast version of the Tenbound Sales Development Conference. It was going to happen today. And we know that with the events of the last 3 months, that was not happening. So we made the shift over to virtual, and we're really excited to get this going. So thanks for joining us, and thanks for everyone for participating in the sales development community. Couldn't have done it without you. So today, to kick off the conference, I want to talk about some predictions. And the present day is pretty challenging, so it's always fun to talk about what we see happening out there and what could potentially be improved in our space, and some potential opportunities that are out there in the next 10 years. It's going on 10 years that I've been involved in sales development, and there's been a tremendous change, and it just continues every day as we speak. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the sponsors that have made this happen. We could not have done this without you. It's been a tremendous amount of work, and we just appreciate the partnerships with all the sponsors. Definitely take a moment today, drop into their virtual sessions, make sure that you get involved with what they're working on right now. And I also want to make a quick shout out to a couple of partners that helped us tremendously in just getting the word out. Rightbound has been a partner through and throughout the process of getting the word out, and using the technology has been a terrific experience, along with MarketJoy as well, in getting the word out on the conference. So we want to thank you and thank all the sponsors for jumping in and helping us. So when we look at the future of sales development and looking over the next 10 years, we start with the core problem that we're all trying to solve today. We work with companies primarily in the SaaS industry, and it always boils down to a series of choke points in the process that we're really trying to solve. And we're trying to accelerate the performance of this process. And so in a very simplistic format, there's a potential territory or a potential vertical of accounts that are out there. There's people, that are involved in the decision making in the buyer group that are at those accounts. And within that subgroup, there's people that have a potential pain point or something that they need to solve. And as sales development professionals, we spend our days trying to find those people and engage with them and have a conversation, hopefully to have them be willing to sit down and discuss with us either virtually or face-to-face about how we might be able to help them with solving that problem. And so really, that's what we're focusing on every day as the core problem in sales development, and why we're all here to try to learn. And so as we create the process within our companies, we always have to be sorting out the accounts into the high-level accounts, as Trish Bertuzzi calls it, the bread and butter accounts, the B accounts, the C accounts that might come in inbound, but we don't necessarily target, and then the D accounts that we just can never sell to. And so throughout this process, there's a series of steps that just sort of goes around and around. We need fresh data. We need to store the data. We need to prioritize it, refresh it again after we talk to them, apply personalized messaging, organize our activities into sequences and cadences, and then provide continuous onboarding, coaching, recruiting, training for our teams so that we can monitor the results and iterate on that process. And as we look at putting that process together, the usual way is we go and we've been able to pull together the major services and products here at Tenbound to look at it from a map perspective. So we know that we need to find good, clean data. We know that we need to plug that into a sales engagement and a CRM platform. We know that we need to monitor our conversational intelligence and provide sales enablement to our teams. We know that we need to join communities just like this so we can learn about the best practices. And there's a number of different solutions and services that we then plug into the system. And we recently surveyed the sales development community to find out what they were using, what were the top solutions. And we're making that available today, actually for free, over on the Tenbound blog, of a survey of the tool solutions that people are using. So as they're applying it to it, you can grab that free over at the Tenbound blog. It's ungated and free today. So what we see is people take some of those systems, they apply it to the core problem that they're trying to solve, and hopefully get enough people into the pipeline to be able to create sales opportunities. But the way that it translates, and where I see the biggest potential for improvement over the next 10 years, is we end up with a situation like this. This is not actually a screenshot of my tabs, but it's the way that the tabs are starting to look for a lot of SDRs. And they're sort of overwhelmed with the number of different solutions and the number of different directions that they can go. And they end up kind of looking like this. And we know that even though we've made great strides in the tools that we have, it's creating a lot of manual labor, and it's creating a lot of burnout within the SDR community, especially now with all the stuff that's going on in the world. So where I see a lot of SDRs spending their time is where Ken Krogh in Forbes, and I've seen a number of stats on this, is right in the manual labor of going through lists, looking for people, looking for contact information, putting people into sequences, putting people into cadences. There's some estimates that 65% of the time is spent on non-revenue generating activities and not having conversations with people, and eventually getting burned out on the manual labor that's still involved in the sales development process. And so really where I see it going is a clean surface interface that's created specifically for SDRs to reduce that 65% of manual labor time and allow them to have more time to be able to focus on the most difficult parts of the job, which is actually talking to people and having interesting conversations. And so over the next 10 years, where I see this going is a work from anywhere, single screen, maybe even a gesture-based, I can speak, a gesture-based user interface. Accounts that are constantly prioritized and pre-sorted according to the ABC methodology. Appropriate context added and refreshed constantly, and contacts clearly marked as part of that buyer and influencer group. It provided trigger events so the SDR doesn't have to scour through to look for those. And then at the cadence and sequence level, a daily plan and a follow-up to arrange according to the data that's being produced. SDRs measured on the effectiveness of their conversations and the ability to set strong meetings versus activities and things that cause burnout. And then for the managers, refreshed reports that help them to make real decisions. And so the industry opportunity for all the people that are on the market map is creating this single stream, this single user interface that replaces all those tabs and helps the SDR to focus on conversations. And your opportunity as a leader over the next 10 years in sales development is to combine the analytical side to create that single pane of glass with the creativity that you need to be able to write messaging, work with your team, and provide authentic leadership like we're going to hear today from a lot of our speakers. So for me, I think it's a tremendous opportunity. You're in the right place. You're surrounded by the top performers in sales development, and we have a tremendous opportunity. So dive into all the sessions. We're going to be recording them and providing them on Tenbound as long as you don't opt out. And we're going to be sharing them after the conference as well. So dive in, enjoy, and thank you for joining us at this year's Virtual Sales Development Conference.